Hello and welcome to Bending, a podcast about being flexible and all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your mobile itinerant hosts.
Huh?
Joining me, as always, is our other mobile and itinerant host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
So itinerant isn't like itinerary?
No,
I've
it's
never heard
kind
that
of
word.
like if you're traveling from place to place, you're itinerant.
Oh,
And I practiced that earlier because it's a word that I do struggle with, or I like drop whole sections of it when I'm saying it. And I was like, oh, said it right, practice it a few times. Then, of course, on
uh-huh.
the pod, face plant, unsurprisingly,
I love that you practice the words ahead of time.
right? I mean, like that's the only
Um,
thing I've practiced, but you know,
right. So we haven't talked, well, we haven't seen each other in 2 weeks.
yes, that's true. Because we
That's
both,
probably almost the longest we've ever gone and like since we've been potting. So we have a
yeah,
lot to talk about.
we do indeed have a little to talk
We
about.
do. We do. So,
Um,
of course, I will start with my crow update.
of course, naturally.
So, I got birdseed. I'm learning things, and I guess they don't like little seed; they like big seed. So I fed all the birds in the neighborhood. School is now out.
Okay.
So all of the crows have been hanging in our backyard,
Hmm.
like 50 of them. So I got them all peanuts, and that's
Nice.
because that's what they like to eat apparently. But then the Blue Jays moved in, and I don't know. I guess I'm becoming something I never thought I would be, Andy.
Hmm.
I'm becoming like a bird watcher.
I mean, like, why not? Absolutely, why not? It's a fine thing to be. And like
It is. It's
it's
like,
it
but it's like, is it one of those things that happens with age, right? Like
no,
marathons, bird
yeah,
watching,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I, do-
I
I
mean, am I
like
getting old?
yes, but we all are, but
Yes.
here's the good news. Like I think the important thing I remember having a discussion about this recently, and it's like if you it's the people that like continue having interests and things like that that like,
Yes.
their brains stay fresh and they're constantly trying to learn new things or they're trying to
Yeah.
like follow different paths, so like it's grand, and anybody that tells you otherwise can shut the hell up as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Okay. Well, I've got a lot of cool birds in the yard now,
Hell
so.
yeah, nothing wrong with it at
And
all.
no crow will talk to me. That's okay though.
But I mean, like,
The
you were
Blue
away a
Jays are.
while, maybe they like
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
they I get to say fell out with you because you abandoned them for a bit. Can
Yep.
I So continue talking about birds because I have some new bird information, which is, have you heard of a
Okay.
website called eBird?
E-bird? No.
Okay, so you need to check out eBird.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Writing it down.
and obviously you know about Merlin Bird ID. We've talked about that before, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Okay,
Is that
cool.
the app?
Yes, it is. Yeah. I think there might be an eBird app as well. This is all fairly fresh news to me, but eBird's quite cool as well. Basically, we had a chat with somebody who ran a bird sanctuary, and they told us about that. They're like, "Do you know about eBird?" And it's like, no. And they're like, right, that's the
No.
next. That's you have to get on that. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Okay. Awesome.
So yeah.
Uh, Mike's out of town. No
Hmm.
surprise. So he's out of town for 2 weeks. He comes home for 2 days, and then he goes out of town for somewhere between a week to 2 weeks. So I'm just yeah doing that.
Diving, yeah, I'm presuming.
Part
Nice.
yeah, that'll be the second trip.
Okay,
So he gets
awesome.
to go
Okay.
to lovely Bodega Bay in Sonoma.
Oh wow.
I know. Nothing too exciting, but yeah.
Still lovely. I love it.
How are you?
Yeah, good. I talking about this just before we started recording here.
You just flew back in like
Yeah, like I literally I arrived
yesterday.
back in this time yesterday, so I'm still, I mean this direction is always tough because I tend to like lose a night's sleep going this way,
Hmm
and so
hmm
it's very strange, and then also I'm back home and I'm like yeah, like, and I think everybody to an extent is a homebody and likes having their own space, and I do get that, but I'm also kind of like I wish I was still on holiday in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
forever,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but yes, but still sort of recovering from that, but definitely feeling better than I was. Certainly, had we recorded this time or this morning, it would have been a very different story, or
Yeah.
worse, yesterday that would have been disastrous.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
yeah, but it was an excellent time and it was great fun. I
We'll get into
have.
that. I have so many questions.
Yes, so we're going to get into the topic. The one thing I wanted to just chat to you about, which was I have started reading Entangled Life, which I think I might have mentioned to you
Eight,
before.
a tangled life,
Entangled Life,
entangled life.
which is a book about mushrooms essentially. So
Oh,
unlike
okay. Yes.
uh, I think we probably I think I'm pretty sure we've talked about it in the pod before, but it's basically it's about what mushrooms are. This guy, he kind of did, I think it's Mervyn or can't remember, something Sheldrake anyway, Mervyn Sheldrake or something like that, and or Melvin Sheldrake, and he basically he focused on mushrooms in his studies and just found out how little we know about them, and it's going down the path of how they work, how they cooperate with plant life. It's kind of giving me revelations that I previously only got in like, physics books and things like that I have read, and I'm really finding it
Mhm.
really interesting and expansive and such a like a fascinating subject. The sort of subject that like in
What have
his
you
own
learned?
yeah, in his own telling, he's like it looking into this has made him rewire how he thinks about things frequently. He's just going in with expectations is just pointless because it completely rewrites the rule book. So it's very interesting.
Okay, I'm writing that down too.
Yeah. So it's
eBird and entanglement or
Yeah, that's it.
entangled?
Entangled Life.
Tangled.
I hope I'm getting that right. I'm getting it right. I am.
You
I am.
are. And if not, we'll figure it out.
Oh, he's Merlin Sheldrake, even better.
I love it.
Right?
Like,
What a
of course his
name.
name is Merlin.
Of course it is. Mushroom guy.
And he's magical.
He is magical. He's definitely magical. Um, okay, so we've done a wee bit of crack. I mean, most of the crack's gonna be in the bulk of our episode because we're gonna have a wee catch up. Because we both had interesting holiday experiences, I think in very different ways. And we
Yes,
thought it would be fun to have a chat about these things. So before we move on to that, Beth, do you have any what's occurring for us?
I do. A
Yeah.
couple weeks ago, well, a month ago, I don't know if you remember, but I was like, "Oh my God, you're wearing a tank top and I can see your
Oh
arms."
yeah.
Other people commented. They were
Oh
like, "Okay,
really?
Andy's." Yes.
What what did other
So,
people comment?
something about like, did you wear the tank top in like the false summer that you had in May or
Oh,
something?
absolutely, I did. Yeah. I mean, like, yes, but also like I was teaching a yoga class just after the record, and I was like, I was literally going to be shooting out the door, so that was the main reason it was happening.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's so true. And like but
Just
like
wear a tank top. People go, they like it.
this is
They,
the
you
I
give, give the people what they want.
That's fair. That's fair. I have bought more when I was away, so I just got to pop them on a more frequent, or
There you
just
go.
like rip rip the sleeves off all my t-shirts.
Yeah.
A little bit of
Yes.
both, right?
Yeah. It could
Um,
be like, version of Hulk Hogan, but it'll
yes,
just be the sleeves.
exactly. Oh, God, if there's anybody you're going to aspire to be, it's not Hulk Hogan. Um,
I know, right?
yeah, not a chill dude. Anyway, so yeah, that's good. Okay, well, I'm gonna take that feedback and I'll maybe wear fewer sleeves, but let's see how it goes.
Okay.
I'm not. I do not. I will not be objectified though. Fans of the pod, no matter how hard you try. I mean,
That's
all right,
fair. That's
maybe a
fair.
little bit of objectification is a treat. Um. Okay, so shall we move on to our topic for this week,
Yes. Yes.
which we've called "A Tale of Two Holidays"? We've both been away, so
Mhm.
we haven't caught up in a while. We have been texting a little bit, and we've both had very different trips, and because the world's a crazy place right now. Both of us, I think, were touched by big world
Yes.
events.
Yes.
And it was interesting and not expecting it, I think either one of us. So yes, so we thought we'd just have a chat about those things and our experiences over the past while.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
So yeah, I mean, like I went to Canada for a few weeks. I spent some time in the Rockies, spent a little bit of time in Calgary, spent about 4 or 5 days in Toronto.
And
I think
you were in a van, right? Like a caravan
I was in a camper van. It was like a
ish.
converted, like a minivan that was converted essentially.
Hmm. Were you pooping and peeing in a bucket?
No. So I
Okay.
stayed or we stayed rather at like campsites a lot of the time.
Okay. That had facilities.
Yes. So there was
Okay.
definitely, thank God. I mean, like I was ready to park at the side of the road and just use like chemical toilets and stuff, and we did do that
Hmm.
once or twice, but that was enough. We were like, I think staying at campsites is inexpensive, and it means you have like both a place to use the bathroom and also a place to shower, which is pretty important
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really great. I think so. Before I talk about my trip in more detail, and I told Beth about this, and I think we should do this now because it was pertinent and there'll be spoilers in me talking about my trip if I don't do this now. So I
Okay.
have a quiz for Beth. It's kind of a quiz,
Oh,
and it's called Beth Martin's Canadian Critter Challenge.
okay. Oh, this is up in my wheelhouse.
Right?
I was like, what is it about? You're like, it's one of your specialties. And I was like, murder? You're like, I'll never
That
tell.
was
And
her first
I was
response.
gonna start like be like, they're never gonna find your body, Andy, because I know about flesh-eating beetles. Anyways,
I believe it.
I'll stop the threats.
Okay, so
Okay.
here's the challenge. So
Okay.
we saw a shitload of critters when we were away. It was a good critter holiday. It was really freaking rad. I have a list of more than 10. So I'm going to see if you can maybe guess 10 of these. Here are the
Okay.
restrictions. And
Okay.
this may seem perverse and cruel, but there are no birds in this list.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, but just
Yeah.
so you know. So I want to see how many out of this list you can get. I think some of them pretty easy. I think some of them are from the same species, I guess, or similar.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, would you like to start guessing? And I'm going to tell you, yay or nay.
Okay. Just like guess randomly.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
Did
this
you
isn't a
see
good
bi
quiz.
No, no, this is fine. Okay, so I get like 10 guesses.
You
Did you
get
see a bear? Did you see a bear?
yes.
Did you see a grizzly bear?
Ding. No, I saw a black bear. Or
Black bear?
yeah.
Okay. Did you see a moose?
No, we did not
Ha.
see a moose.
Did you see a wolf?
No.
Did you see a pika?
Yes. Whoa, that was the one I did not think you would get. I had never heard of a pika until we saw one.
They're so fucking cute.
Oh, so Beth, right? So Katie, my partner, saw it and identified it. It was the last. It's a lagomorph, I think, that she hadn't seen in the wild before, and it like hopped on a rock and did like a wee squeak. It was
Uh-huh.
incredible.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
There's
yes.
a the Planet Earth, I think it's Planet Earth season 2. They
Oh, is
do a
there a thing
whole
about pikas on
little
that?
yep. And I was like, that's literally the cutest animal I've ever seen. We don't
Um.
have them on our side of the this North
Oh,
America.
really?
Nuh-uh. No.
They're little cuties. Like we were thrilled about that because it came after a particularly challenging hike, and yeah, it was pretty rad. So. That's two of the big ones. I'm gonna
Okay.
say let's give you five more guesses and see how many you get.
Okay. No birds?
No birds.
Okay. Did you see deer?
Yes.
Did you see coyotes?
Yes.
Did you see beavers?
No. Okay, two more
Did you
guesses.
okay, did you see okay. Bodies of water. Did you see like mountain goats?
Yes.
Okay.
A family
Did
of.
you really?
Hmm.
Oh my God, that's cool.
That's so cool.
Like bighorn sheep?
Yes. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I've never, no. Have I? Yeah, I've seen like California's version of bighorn sheep. I think that's my number of guesses, right?
Yes, I
I
think it
did
is.
pretty
You did
good.
do for you did excellent there. So you got six. Yeah, you got six. So
Okay, what
we also saw
else?
like a lot of the things in the list are squirrel based, right? So we saw like ground
Okay.
squirrels, black red
Yes.
squirrels, and black squirrels.
Yes. I've never seen a black squirrel.
They are huge. We saw chipmunks. Like I think I sent you a picture of a chipmunk, like almost doing a sermon on a block of wood, I
Yes.
believe. Yeah, so
Yes.
like the
Yes.
chipmunks were, like everywhere in Canada, it's like do not feed the animals, but clearly people are because we encountered a
They're
chipmunk and the
everywhere because they're
chipmunk
like
was like getting on his hind legs and like
it's
begging me
doing
essentially for food.
right.
And I'm like,
He's like
bro,
doing sign language
yeah,
for feed me.
we've got an amazing video I must send you of just the chipmunk basically on my food going, please, please give me some food. We saw jackrabbit
Oh, cool.
and we
They're
also
big.
saw a mountain cottontail.
Okay.
So,
Very
Beth,
good.
right,
Yes.
that was exciting, but you ready for the b b b bird b bonus round?
Yes.
So
This
we
is so
saw the reason
exciting.
why I excluded birds is because we saw a fuckload of birds. And one of the reasons why we were like I was talking about eBird and I was talking about like um Merlin Bird ID and didn't want to kind of give the game away when you were talking about it earlier. We were like birding like mad. We were like we had Merlin Bird ID on all the time because you're walking in forest and stuff and you're hearing all these calls and like we visually identified a ton of them as well. So I would say like this is not an exhaustive list just because there's a lot of the birds that we saw and we were just like I don't know what that is or else we heard their calls and we didn't actually physically see them.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna say six guesses for the birds, the highlight birds, the ones that we kind of like made a note of, and there are some fucking cool birds on here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get so six guesses for on my
Okay.
bird list.
Did you see an eagle?
Yes.
Okay.
In the sky as we were driving, but we're fairly certain it was an eagle because it was fucking massive.
Yeah. It was probably like a golden eagle,
We think it might
maybe.
have been, we're not sure. But it
Mm,
had the white tail, which was the giveaway.
red-tailed hawk.
No. Oh, I'm gonna give you that because we did see some hawks.
Okay. Um, blue jays.
Yes. We
Okay.
specifically we saw a Stellar's jay.
Stellar jay. Okay.
Hmm.
I think I have those in the yard and they're eating the peanuts.
Nice.
Bird. Raven?
Yes, we did see ravens.
Okay. How many more guesses do I get? One more?
You've got two more guesses.
Okay. Crow.
Yeah, I'll give you a crow as well.
Thanks. They're different.
They are different. We definitely did see them
Um,
both.
I'm gonna say like a cardinal?
Yes.
Was it a
Have you
red
seen a cardinal
cardinal?
before?
A red one?
Yeah.
They're more on the East Coast, so I
Okay.
like in Kentucky all the time. They don't exist here, which is
I
really
can't believe
so
how
fucking
bright
crazy.
they're
Yeah.
cr they're really and they like we didn't hear them call. Our friend was talking a Canadian friend who we met there was telling us like their crow is like a laser gun. I wish we'd heard it. It sounds fantastic. We also saw like
Wow.
a ton of like woodpeckers or flickers that they were
Hmm.
called. We saw some nutcrackers. We saw some chickadees. Have you ever seen a chickadee?
I have seen a
Oh, they're
chickadee.
so adorable.
They are.
We saw like a loon. We saw a some
Oh
sort of
yeah.
pheasant. We think we saw American robin,
Okay.
and I've never seen like they're huge. Like we saw a ton of them, and like
Hmm.
robins in this country are tiny wee birds. American robins are like four times the size, are
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
We saw some nutcrackers. There was like we got to the top of a mountain and there's these nutcrackers like on trees next to us. I think just shouting like at each other, going, "Let's wait for these dumb mammals to
Yeah.
drop their food so we can like
Yes.
get it all." And we saw some juncos.
Juncos. Okay.
Oh, the pheasant thing I was talking about was a spruce grouse.
A spruce grouse?
Yeah,
That's really hard to say.
isn't
Whose
it?
idea was that?
I,
Spruce
hey,
grouse.
I just looked it up. I have no idea. But yeah, so that was 6 for 6 in your bird bonus round. So I think we
Thank you.
can. I think you're the winner.
Well,
I
obviously.
mean, obviously,
I know. I was worried because I don't know many birds, but I guess I do know, like, the heavy
you know a
hitters.
lot of species, so and I think that's going to help and at least let you narrow things down.
I'm
This is
smarter than
also
I
very true.
thought.
Yeah. Very smart. But like we went in Calgary, we went to a bird sighting. The coyote sighting in particular was nuts because it was
Yeah,
like it was in a public park in Calgary, and I saw this thing moving, and I'm like,
yeah.
that's a big
They don't
dog.
give a fuck. Yeah,
No.
they don't give a fuck.
And it was just like moving through the park, and then, like in the middle of the day, and I was like, shit, that's a coyote. That's definitely a coyote.
Yeah.
Um, and the deer encounters we had were both super close up and unbelievable. Like both in Banff and in one of the campsites we were staying, we were just walking along, and there was this deer standing beside us eating. And then like we were like not we were being quiet, but we were making some noise, and it just you know squatted down and did a shit. And I was like, oh, this deer does not give a crap, literally. We are
That's
here.
awesome. That
Um,
means that it's like not been fucked with by humans
yeah.
too much, right? Or maybe it
Well,
has. I don't know.
and we the bear we saw was at the side of the road, which was super cool. And we like got so close a couple of times. We were going to a thing in Banff, and we were told basically there was a black bear mama with her cubs in the car park, and we like missed it by minutes, which we were gutted about.
Oh, that's
Um,
okay.
but yeah, but wonderful. And the bighorn sheep was just on the side of the road on our way into Radium Springs, just incredible. So it's just like
Wow.
every time, just because it does not happen here, it is to truly like, oh, wow. So absolutely
I mean,
wonderful critter
I
action.
felt like that when I saw a real hedgehog on the side of the road in Ireland. I'm like, we don't have those here. They're so
That's
cute. You're like, yeah, they get, hit by cars. I'm like,
yeah.
oh
That's
my
mostly the context you see hedgehogs these days, which really
God.
sucks, like because
I
they're
know.
they're you're cute little guys. But
Yeah.
yeah, so sorry.
You
So I
did
sort of
good. I
you did do
love that
good.
you like noticed these things and like made note and wrote them down and
We
thought of
did.
thought of me because because I'm an
I've got to
animal
give
fanatic.
Katie a ton of credit here. She really, I think we both talked about it, and then she made the effort to write them all down.
So
Because
good.
like basically she didn't see the coyote quite as well as I did, and we were like, and I was like, it needs to go on the list. I need to put coyote on the list. But yeah, so yeah, so I'll
I
let so I talked a lot there. So if you want to talk a little bit about your trip, and I can get more
yeah.
into more detail with mine as we go on.
I just have a quick coyote story. I
Hmm.
So the only thing I will like catch and kill is a gopher.
Yep.
Anything else, it's like, and not for lack of effort of like have a heart traps and trying to lure them out with like peanut butter and whatever. But they live underground and like a gopher, like you can break your ankle if you step in a gopher hole.
Yep.
So I fling them on the other side of the fence. I,
Hmm.
after I've, uh kill them humanely and quickly, and hopefully painlessly. But for anybody to have a quick snack. So I flung it on the other side of the fence the other day, and I went out later in the afternoon, and there's a fucking coyote standing. He was huge, standing right on the other side of the fence, just like gulping down this dead gopher. So yeah,
Wow.
they're did not give a fuck that I'm standing right there, like waving at it.
Like you were pretty close range to it. So I mean, like, is it's. I mean, I saw it at a distance, and it looked like. I mean, it's like a very big dog, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of like it looks like somewhere between like a dog and a fox a little
Yeah.
bit,
Yep.
and they're
Okay.
like light brown, but yeah, and I can smell their pee because they're all
Oh
over, they're
God.
like we live in nature, so like we'll be walking past a bush and I'm like, oh my God, that's coyote piss. It smells so bad. It smells so
Yeah.
bad, and maybe
Yeah.
that's the point.
Yeah. I
Smelly
suppose that's
smells.
true. Yeah.
Okay, so I had family visit from out of town,
Hmm.
and um we decided to go to Universal Studios Hollywood,
Okay.
um,
Okay.
which is in Los Angeles,
Uh-huh.
which is fun uh because we were there the same time that there were the protests and the National Guard was called in to California, Los Angeles area to
Uh-huh.
fight with the protesters. So that was a whole like that was a vibe shift for being there in general and just like seeing all the cops and the Waymos. They stopped running them because people were lighting them on
Oh,
fire.
I
Those
heard
are
about
those
this.
like self-driving cars. Yeah. So it's definitely it was in a small area of Los Angeles. It wasn't like,
Okay.
everywhere. So like we were in the valley, but it was definitely like weird.
Was it, did it affect in terms of like, were you able to get to Universal Studios and things like
We were
that?
fine. Yeah, we stayed in Hollywood, like in the valley in an Airbnb. So we were
Mm-hmm.
on the other side. Like we were, but it was like it affected like how we got around town and like avoiding downtown
Sure.
because they were outside of the Federal Ice Building. So that
Is
was
it,
just a weird, it's just a weird, it's Andy, it's so weird here right now.
it's a weird time to be alive, and yeah, it is. It's definitely weird. I mean, like everything I see from the US is extremely weird, and
Yeah. And we
yeah,
haven't like no one has called in the National Guard since like the Civil Rights Movement.
yeah.
So to do that over people like peacefully protesting um immigration is kind of like, I don't know, a little bit overkill, I think.
It's kind of weird the things that they call in reinforcements for. It
Mm,
really is.
yeah.
Because there's no National Guard called for like the January 6th
Right.
insurrection attempts and things like that, which seems
Right.
like a much bigger thing and genuinely violent action going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
now our governor is fighting, the governor of California is now fighting with the president, and it's just like they're talking, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things go.
baffling.
But you know what? We were a republic for like, I don't know, 2 weeks or something. That's why you see people wearing California Republic t-shirts.
Yes.
Um, so we could always just secede and become our own
It,
country.
it's interesting how much chat I'm hearing about that because, like, I mean, not just in the US, but like when we were in Canada, I found out that both Alberta and Quebec have talked about leaving Canada.
Hmm.
Hasn't happened, but it's both of them are having discussions about it,
Hmm.
which I find really kind of
Yeah.
fascinating.
How interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like I apparently Quebec had a vote like what a long time ago, about 40 years or so ago,
Hmm.
which a very by a small margin didn't pass, but really interesting. Um, but yeah, like the world events that like um affected our trip were that the G7 conference was being set up in Alberta as we were leaving.
Oh, wow.
So we went to various places and we're basically like, no, you're not getting these trailheads. Now, this was right at the end of our trip, so we didn't really miss much.
Interesting.
But like there was such a big security effort going down to like lock down I guess the place that they were actually meeting. But yeah, absolutely fascinating to kind of see the prep for that. As I say, it was still like 2 weeks out, but they were, or was it like, yeah, it would have been, no, it'd been about a week out, but they were like really kind of setting the wheels in motion for what must be a big sort of security sort of effort.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing, and again, we'll get onto some of the more fun stuff on our holidays in a second, but the other thing was that I heard and I was glad to be out of the country for was there was rioting in Northern Ireland as well, and
There
it made
was, there
it made
was.
international
I
news.
know. I was like, hey, we're writing at the same time. Like, I'm glad we're not in the country.
Yeah,
But it did. It made the Drudge Report. I was like, holy shit. So,
yeah, like it's just fully it's embarrassing shit, and it's the same shit that happened last time. Like, I mean, one of the things that we're like uh chatting about and getting kind of annoyed about is, it is very, very thinly veiled racism. Basically it's like dressed up as we're protecting women and children, but it's not that. Like there have been so many, like not so many, but there have been like there's been a lot of stuff with like white men doing things, but they're never protested. But as soon as it's like, uh European folks, then it
yeah.
becomes a whole,
I
thing.
saw because they're we had the No Kings protest
Yes.
on Saturday, the same day as the big Trump's birthday celebration with all or and it was like the 250th anniversary of like the army existing.
Yeah.
Uh I had a point. I lost it. What were you just saying?
So I was talking about oh yeah, the protests were against or
Oh,
euthanasia veiled
yes, yes.
racism. Yeah.
So I saw a good one. It was a white guy holding a sign that said something along the lines of like, you know, it's bad if a white guy shows up at a protest and makes a sign.
Yes. It's true.
Uh,
Ay, ay,
So,
ay. But yeah.
yeah,
So,
interesting.
but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's and so much of it just in this country. I mean, so much of that because like what was really fucked was like there was loads of shit that happened. Basically, at one point, some of the affected families were moved to a leisure center, which is kind of like a YMCA. And then one of our ministers, a communities minister, no less, said, "Oh, they've moved the families to this place." Riders went there, they burnt and they set the leisure center on fire.
Holy
Crazy,
shit.
crazy, 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 crazy shit. So
We
yeah,
also had is it Minnesota, I think? We had two politicians that got murdered.
I heard about this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And our president has not addressed it at all because they were Democrats.
Of course.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like
It's
how
crazy.
bipartisan it has become is fucking
Yeah,
wild. Like
it's
I'm
just like they're taking the humanity out of it,
yeah,
and
it's
it's
awful.
it's yeah.
I
So
mean, yeah, like, yeah. Anyway,
so
all things
vacation.
it's vacations. Let's talk about vacations. Let's talk about fun things, our escape from this shit.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, so I spent some time so we spent some time in the Rockies and
What'd you think?
absolutely
Tap
fucking
the Rockies. Did you
stunning.
drink all the Coors Light?
No, I was drinking Molson's all day long. I had to,
Right. Different
right?
country, different part of the Rockies. Yes, you did.
Exactly. So,
Sorry, I make everything about America.
yeah, no, come on, Beth. It's Canada. We drink Molson up there. Molson's. So I also was drinking quite a bit of Pabst Blue Ribbon as well. Actually, it was
Yeah.
anyway, but it was really wonderful. We hired like that camper van I talked about at the start. It was really kind of awesome as a setup for two people. It couldn't have been better. It was, I say, converted minivan, with a kind of fold-out bed type thing that you could set up very quickly, and basically the boot had been, or the boot, sorry, the
Trunk.
trunk,
Boot.
the trunk had been converted into like a mobile kitchen essentially, with like a
That's
gas
awesome.
stove, like a tap and everything. And it rocked. Like it was so good, so versatile, and like we were doing a lot of cooking and stuff there and making coffee. But like, see, just waking up every day and being surrounded by mountains on a scale that I am just not familiar with at all
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
wonderful and really kind of like I was truly sad when we actually left in the end because it was just like I don't know, it was just really beautiful to be surrounded by all that. I'm not getting choked out as much as I am windy people at home, in
It's
case you're
fine.
wondering.
You're like we're you're burping the burp I cannot burp. I have to burp
It's
so
all right.
bad, but it won't come out. It's
It'll come
fine.
out.
You're just like rubbing it in my face.
That'll be the grand finale. Um, but yeah, like so. I mean, just a ton of hiking. We visited some hot springs. Um, we met some of Katie's friends there as well. Went hiking with them. But it was just like I say, tons of hiking, tons of like stays and campsites, and just kind of like spending time out in the road. And it was just absolutely wonderful. I think that the like second half of our trip was really great too. But like. I think both of us really kind of prefer the isolation that comes from hiking and being away, a bit further, further afield. Like even in some of the busier places like Lake Louise, which was like it's a wee bit tourist trappy. Have you heard of Lake Louise?
I have heard of it. Yeah. I've
Yep.
never been, but
So like, initially when you go there, it's heaving with people, but like we went on a big hike that took us quite a bit further out of that. and it was like and it was great. Don't get me wrong. Initially, it was great, but it got so much better once we kind of hit started climbing these trails and like the crowds thinned out. Like it was just wonderful, and like we had such a fun time of year. I would say it definitely had its challenges, but because it hasn't fully thawed yet, there was a lot of snow, so we were like wearing like t-shirts, but going through big kind of like banks of snow in places.
Hmm.
The hike we did that was part of Lake Louise is called the Big Beehive Trail, and you basically takes you up to this big viewpoint. And we came up one side, and it was very gradual, but it was quite steep, and it took a while, and it was like a tough hike, I must say. We got to the top, and we kept meeting people who come up the other way, and they were like, "Look, it's tough. It's no joke getting down. It's just no joke getting up here. Basically, you will be scrabbling. You'll be on your hands and your knees at some point." And we were like, let's give it a go anyway." And it was rough. Like it was like basically the other side of the hill hadn't really doesn't really get so much sun because of the way the valley's set up. The lake
Hmm.
that we were looking down into was still frozen. So it was kind of a very sketchy kind of like and very slow descent down this mountain, but deeply satisfying once we got down there. And then we saw the Pica or the Pica, and it made it all worthwhile.
That's so cool. And Banff, I've seen photos
Yeah.
of the water there.
Hmm.
It's like some of the bluest, clearest, most beautiful water.
I mean, like all the water there. I mean, like so there was a lot. We visited a lot of like parts of the river and waterfalls and things like that. So many waterfalls, and um. The water was either very clear or it had like a milky kind of texture because apparently it takes this it's called rock salt. I can't remember. I'm misremembering exactly. It kind of picks up this stuff and it kind of colors the water for a while. But
Hmm.
it's just like I say, Emerald Lake was stunning, was green basically throughout. Lake Louise, milky blue. It's just, and like surrounded by these stunning mountains. So yeah, just sensational.
That's wonderful. I'm so like happy that you got out in nature.
Me too. Uh,
And
mhm.
so to I
Yeah.
did not go to nature.
The next best thing, a theme park.
I know. Yeah, so we did like Venice Beach because we couldn't check into the Airbnb. So, and then we
Did you
went to the
see
Academy Museum.
did you see
I
your
did
friend?
not see my friend. No, we didn't go that far down.
Okay.
Um, because my family member had knee surgery, so it was just kind of like,
Fair.
do as much as we can. Yeah. But uh went to the Academy Museum again, and they
Yeah.
actually had so they rotate exhibits, and they had
Yeah.
a Barbie exhibit.
Nice. Oh yes. Hmm.
So I sent you a photo of the Corvette car.
Yeah.
You got to sit in that, but it's basically like it's the set they did an exhibit on the set designers
Okay.
whose names are did I write it down? No, I did not write it down, but they did oh no, Sarah Greenwood and Katie Spencer.
Okay.
So these two women work together. I don't know if they're a couple or not. It doesn't really matter, but they've had Oscar nominations for Pride and Prejudice, Atonement, Sherlock Holmes, Anna Karenina, Beauty and the Beast, Darkest Hour, and Barbie. So they
Nice.
had pieces of all of these different movies, and they also had like the vision board, like the model of Barbie world, right? That they like, let's create like how we're gonna film it, what should it look like? They had it's so I got to see like actual shit from the actual movie, which was like
Wow.
way cool. Um, Jaws is there. There's a
Yeah.
zoetrope. I don't know if you saw
Did they
that when you
have
were
that?
there.
I don't know that
It's
they
so
did.
zoetrope, it's like how do I explain? It's basically like it's claymation and you make it in a big circle. And so then
Oh,
you turn the strobe light on
yes,
and
yes,
you turn it really quickly and it looks like all these things are like moving,
yes.
even though they're all separate pieces. It's pretty cool. So that was there. They had the two pianos from Casablanca that like
Ooh.
played against Sam, and they're like way smaller than I than they look in the movie. So like I got to see that. So it was that was like a highlight.
They definitely didn't. I didn't. I'm thinking they might have had the zoetrope now you mentioned it. I was thinking about it, looking at there, and I'm
But
pretty certain they did.
yeah,
Um, but the
it's like
pianos are definitely
base
new for me.
yes, yeah. So they also had I'm trying to remember it's like a room that where they've got like just random shit from all the movies, right? It's
Okay.
got like Captain America's shield
Yep.
and like okay,
And like
so
some of the aliens, like ships and things
yep,
like that, and
yep,
yeah, an
yep. One of the
alien
like
rather.
the evil gremlin,
Yes.
TARS from Interstellar,
Hell
like all that kind
yeah.
of stuff. So
People
I
love
knew. So
towers.
I
Um,
knew me too.
they had some of the like Wes Anderson, like Fantastic Mr. Fox
They
puppets when I
did
was
that.
there. No,
No,
okay,
that
so
was done.
they maybe
Yeah,
change things out then. They
I
maybe
think you do.
rotate the stuff that's there. Um, no, that's awesome. Okay, so
So yeah, it was
actually,
not nature at all.
yeah, that's fine. It's still nice. It's still getting out there.
Right,
Just still entertain yourself. So,
right, right.
um, so we spent some time in. Actually, I'm going to talk about something that was directly related to what you were talking about. We did go to one
Okay.
sort of event. We did went to two. We went to an aquarium, which was good, but it was a Saturday afternoon sort of experience. In the aquarium, it was
Oh,
just heaving and just
yes.
not super fun as a result. But it had some cool creatures. Um, but we also went to a place called Little Canada. Little Canada rocks so hard. It's like what Little Canada is a little version of Canada is exactly what it sounds like. So there is like Little Toronto, there's
What?
Petit Quebec, there's Little Niagara. And what they have done is they have created this like just tiny version of like these places and they're wonderfully detailed in ways that you're just like, why have you done this? And not only do they do that, they have a scavenger hunt. They've got somebody called Maurice the Moose, who's a moose with a Canadian flag on his side, and you got to find him in different areas. And then when you like marked, you find all the kind of Maurices, you get a sticker at the end of the visit. Also, because it was coming up to Father's Day, they did a dad joke special where they had dad jokes, and you had to find letters related to the dad jokes in the exhibit. But like, I can't tell you how. See, in terms of experiences like that, they can feel a bit clinical or whatever. But like the staff there loves it so much. They talk to you passionately about it. The workshop where they're working and stuff is open. There's two people sit in the window, will talk to you about how they make stuff, why they made stuff. One of the ladies we talked to had a cow in a tree with fairy wings, and she started talking passionately about this cow. I can't remember the name of the cow. I wish I'd written this down. But she was like, she's a magical cow. She flies into trees. She produces strawberry milk. And I'm like, this rocks. And like, the exhibit is filled with like, it is very accurate in terms of like the layout of like buildings and things like that. But like,
Hmm.
there's figures, crazy figures doing things. There are, for example, in Little Toronto, because Margaret Atwood is from Canada. There are some of the handmaids from the Handmaid's Tale in a section and things like that.
Wow.
There's like a cutaway of a hotel. Within the cutaway of the hotel, there is so many references to movies and video games and TV shows. There's like an Aliens one, a Minecraft one, and it's wonderful. You would love it because it's just
I'm
such
so jealous.
right.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the
And
kids would dig
happy
it.
for you, obviously.
Yeah, of
But
course. I think the kids would dig it too because the scavenger hunt side of things, I think, it's just wonderful and it's just like I don't know. It feels both because it's not massive, but like it is like a kind of exhibit or like almost like an art space, but because of like the people, it just
mhm.
felt way more like homely and kind of inviting, and it was just really incredible. And we did that on our last day, and it was such a perfect way to kind of end the trip.
That's amazing. I'm so
See?
jealous. Little Canada.
Yeah, so check it out. It's worth the trip to
I'm
Toronto
gonna
alone.
totally Google it when
Yeah,
we get off here.
do. Um,
Um,
hmm
so uh I got to go look at Little New York City, I guess. Uh
Okay.
so we did
Oh,
the super VIP tour at Universal. I
uh-huh.
highly, it's expensive. but it's like once you factor in, so you get like you show up, you walk a red carpet, like
Nice.
you get met in this secret room and they like usher you upstairs to the VIP lounge where there's like continental food and then you get assigned a person. I never do this kind of stuff. I'm so cheap. Like I like didn't belong there at all. Uh so then the person like she was like this morning we're gonna get on I'll get you to the front of every ride and then this afternoon we'll do a backlot tour where we'll actually get off like they have like the studio tour where you're on this like tram and they drive you around but the VIP tour you actually get off the bus and they like you go into a sound studio you go into so oh my God it was
Wow.
so fun it was like my dream day ah I'm so excited to tell you about this. So,
Uh-huh.
so we like get to the front of every line, like so we went right to Mario Kart, because Charlie really wanted to do that, and it was just the craziest thing. They had like, and I didn't notice like these little like red velvet ropes in every on every ride, and she was like, okay, like come to the front, and like we would go. It's just like when there's an hour and a half wait to get onto Hogwarts, right?
Yeah.
Um, and someone's just like, no, here's the secret door, come in. I'm like, this is how rich people live. This is amazing. It was amazing. So we got on all the rides, we did all the rides. And then we got ushered into this like secret room. And it's the VIP lunch area where they have this like beautiful buffet of like all this amazing food. And and then we got onto this like bus that drove us down to the lot. Because like Universal, of course, they're smart and they built this entire thing on a hill. So you're like, it's a big fucking hill. Anyways,
Interesting.
so we got to go I got to go into a sound stage. So that's where
Uh-huh.
they film movies in those things. And like it was a blank one, nothing was in it, but it was just so cool to be in one. I peed in the backlot bathrooms. And
Nice.
I was like, I'm like, they're like, okay, we're gonna stop and you can get off the bus and use the restrooms. And I was like, of course, I work here. Like I belong. I made it, right? If I'm
That's
able to use the bathrooms in the back lot.
wow.
Um, then we got to go into they have like a whole it's like I don't know, it's the size of a city block, but it's where you can rent anything. So like streetlights, they change out the
Uh-huh.
streetlights. So they have like this whole area. They have like little Mexico. They've got like little Europe, little New York, and they like all the movies get filmed there.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So we got to get off and like walk around in the street. So like I'll send you some photos. But it's like me and Harper, we're in New York City, but we're not. And it's the weirdest thing. So she's like, our tour guide was like, yeah, we've got, if it's New York in the 1940s, those are different lights. We can run gas, we can run electrical. She's like, but you got to check. She's like, you can rent dirt. They're dirt renters, right?
Wow.
Um, if you want to like cobblestones, they can do that. So then we got to go into um the costume and set uh library essentially,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, I don't know, like 8 stories and they have everything. They have like different versions of the White House Oval Office, right?
Ooh.
All the different desks that you would use. So they have barcodes and you can rent them. Anybody can. See, anybody can rent a sound studio Universal. People have done it for like weddings and stuff.
Wow.
So if you ever want to get married, I'm just saying, if you got
Okay.
$50,000 to kick around,
Fifty
you can
thousand
rent your own.
dollars.
I know, right? Um, so so that was super cool. Highly recommend it. And
That sounds
then
great.
yeah, it was so cool. It was like a 2.5 hour backlot tour. Um, and then they've got I don't know if you remember that Tom Cruise War of the World.
Yes.
There's like a plane that goes down.
I have seen I have seen that set. I think it's in on the popular version of this tour. We definitely drove
It is.
past this. Yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
We got off. We got to go off.
Ooh, you gotta go in?
Yes, and like touch
Hell yeah.
things,
Yeah.
and like so you have all these photos of like Harper standing outside. So that basically Steven Spielberg, it's like a I don't even know. It's a I don't know what type of plane. It's a big fucking airplane,
It's a
and
big
they
like 737, 747,
it's
something like that. It is, yeah.
747, and it doesn't have a roof, and so you see all like the seats, and that was because they had to cut the roof off of it because the whole plane wouldn't fit under the overpasses on the freeway,
Wow.
right? So they designed this whole like airplane neighborhood on fire. And so, yeah, I have all these like photos of the kids like standing in front of these like downed airplane. It's so
That
fucking
rocks.
cool.
As as
Yeah.
you're doing this, are there other people coming by on tour seeing you guys
Yes,
in there?
yes,
Wow.
yes, yes. And they're like, our tour guide's like, they don't know you're not famous. Just wave like, you know what
Yeah,
you're doing,
it's
right?
true.
Because there were like 12 of us. So yeah, so it was like that kind of stuff. We got to get off
That
of
rocks.
the bus and like look at stuff and. So anyways, I highly recommend it. If anybody goes to Universal, pay the extra money, become a VIP, and because like once you get the fast pass and like you're eating, it's like it's worth the money.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, because once you do pay for those extra things, it becomes a very expensive day anyway.
Yes.
Um,
So yeah, Little New York
love
to
it.
go along with Little
It's good.
Canada.
Some good little action we've been getting. I love it. So yeah, the two things that changed my life in
Mhm.
Canada completely. I mean, like, it was an incredible experience overall, but two things changed my life. A, extremely cheap weed gummies.
Ah,
Like $5 will buy you 10 milligrams of like gummies, and like they were just absolutely fantastic. And it was, I think that's even cheaper than you guys. I can't,
yeah,
it's so inexpensive.
yeah.
So like, after being on the wagon, and I've talked about this on the pod before. Like, if I was hoping to get back into, if I'm ever hoping to get back into taking weed, my hope was that I would be able to take edibles. So we thought we'll pick some up in Canada. We saw a place called
Whoopsie.
Mount Hushmore, and we're like, we have to stop here. And we got weed there, but like it is everywhere. There are shops everywhere, and it was absolutely fantastic. Anyway, that's number one. Number two
Yay.
is number two are dill pickle chips. Now, I don't think you have them in the US,
We
right?
do. I saw them at
Do?
the dentist's office like last week, and I was like,
Okay.
what are those? And she's like, they're dill pickle chips. And I'm like, are they good? She's like, yes, you can get them at this gas station. I was
Okay,
like,
they
okay,
fucking rock. Get on those.
okay.
Like
I
they are.
knew it.
We were just like we got a bag. We tried a few different things because like Canada have some distinct flavors of their own. They have dill
Yep.
pickle. They have like all dressed. They have ketchup. I think is a very sort of Canadian flavor as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
And we were interested in
Which
the
is
ketchup. The ketchup were
weird.
fine. All dressed were actually pretty good, but the dill pickles are fucking excellent. So like,
Okay.
yeah, get on dill pickle chips
On it.
ASAP. It
On
changed my
it.
life.
Okay.
So want to talk just a little bit more about Toronto, and then I'll kind of mostly wrapped up. So we like when we were in Toronto, we toured the city a little bit. It's a cool city, and it's busy, but it didn't feel quite as hectic as other sort of, you know, some of the other North American cities I've been to. And like, I think cities aren't friendly places generally, but it didn't feel as unfriendly as some of the other like city experiences that I've had, which I really loved a lot. Um, but we also got to Niagara Falls as well.
I was
Uh,
gonna ask.
yeah. So
I've never been.
we met. I have a good friend of mine lives there, and he was like, "If you're coming, I'll take you to Niagara Falls." I was like, "Okay."
Hmm.
So it was like they were pretty spectacular, but like I think it was a bit of a, you know, they're so famous and they're so well known. It's like the Grand Canyon. Like it was my Grand Canyon experience was like initially blown away, and then afterwards you're like, okay, and you're like, yeah, and like what I didn't realize about Niagara Falls was that it's essentially become like a Las Vegas style party
Okay.
town. and there's like casinos and there's all sorts of like crazy shit and there's like, all, really gimmicky restaurants and apparently it's a place a lot of people come and do like stag parties, hen parties, things like that.
I had no idea. I know people get married there
Yeah.
and people used to go over in barrels. That's what I
Yes,
know.
exactly.
So I
But
just
yeah,
assumed that's what it was still
yeah.
like.
I think that I had thought I don't know why I think I thought it was almost like a full circle of waterfall and it isn't really. It's only about like I would say about a half circle maybe and like there are some other kind of falls a bit further on down. But like again, is an incredible seeing it was since insane and also like like as soon as you got there you were feeling spray in the air because there was so much rushing water coming down the whole time the whole I guess the whole place is just filled with that the whole time but yeah really really fantastic and let's say Toronto in our very brief experience with it was like a really wonderful city to explore as well really great vegan food too I must say
Hmm.
so yeah
Are you
um
are you a vegan?
no I am vegetarian for the most part these days with a bit of fish and
Pescatarian.
pescatarian, yeah. And I so like it was good from that point of view, but my girlfriend is so like we have vegan a lot of the time, which I have no zero problems with
Hmm.
because like it's basically one of the places we went to was like a vegan soul food restaurant, and it was just like vegan
Ooh,
Philadelphia cheesesteak, vegan poutine, vegan like Reuben sandwiches and things like that that were just absolutely fantastic. So it was
yum.
really awesome.
Yeah. Like I appreciate that you can pretty much find, someone that's created something like a vegan Reuben.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's absolutely. So yeah. So yeah. So just yeah, all in all, like wonderful trip. And yeah, I was ruining the day that I had to come back home. But I think
Yeah.
another trip. Actually, while we were flying, whenever we were flying over to we actually flew into Hamilton, which is like basically right beside Toronto. I mean, like they're part of a large, big, massive city. It was a lot cheaper to fly through there, and it was the inaugural flight with the of that company that was doing it. So we all got like $150 dollar voucher to spend on a flight within the next year. So it's like, oh, maybe we'll go back to
That's
Canada
cool. I was
within the
gonna
next
say,
year.
yeah, would you go back and visit?
Absolutely. I mean, like I loved, like I
Yeah.
really had such a nice time, and
I'm so glad.
yeah, I would go back in a heartbeat. Yeah, I'm so glad I finally made it out there, and it fully lived up to my expectations, and I felt like I really only scratched the surface of it.
Yeah. Can I tell you the worst thing that happened?
Yep.
Harper and I got stuck on the Hogwarts ride for like 30 minutes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
How
In
did that
the
go
dark.
for both of you?
Uh, you know, she was terrified. You
Yeah.
know, it's like I've been stuck on rides before. I got stuck
Yep.
on the Ferris wheel at the very top for like, a half hour.
Yeah.
So I was like, also it's like when you're trying to calm someone down, you become calmer,
Yep.
But we were definitely, there. And there was like this recorded voice that was like, we're having, because it's British, right? So we're
Yep.
having difficulties. But apparently it's weird. Like when you get on the ride, it's like, it's, there's two, I don't know how to explain this. It's like, it's, what are the people mover thingies? It's not an
Oh,
escalator, it's
yeah,
flat.
yeah. I know what you mean. Travelator
So
or
one is going one way and one is going the other way, and
yep.
you got to kind of like navigate that to get on the ride, get in the seat. So someone fell and like so they shut the ride down, and they had
I
to do like
see.
bad, but because someone was doing like biohazard cleanup.
Oh God.
So I know. So I hope the person is
Yeah, me
okay.
too. What a
So
nightmare.
yeah. So now I've
I
been stuck on. I spent a lot of time at Hogwarts, I'll just say.
I got stuck in a Star Wars ride last time I was right there as
That's
well.
right. That's right.
I never got to ride that bloody thing. Um,
No.
okay, so do you have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
Um, I would, it was nice being in the same time zone as you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We were texting
I was
each
like, you were
other.
texting me at the same time I was awake, and I was like, what the fuck?
What's going on here? I know that's so true. I know it was nice actually, and it was actually because like a variety of American people I'm texting, and it was just
Yeah,
weird getting real time responses, and they're like,
yeah,
where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh,
I
yeah,
know.
not far." Well, I mean, like I am far, but not far considering.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah. So
cool,
travel,
love it.
good. Yep.
Travel good,
Travel
everybody.
good.
Travel good.
Travel good.
I love it. Okay, so in that case, Beth, I'd like to ask you what's been bringing you joy this
Okay,
week.
so in the costume and set studio that we went in, I saw the coolest thing. I saw the coolest thing. It was the chair from Gladiator 1 that
Okay.
the emperor would sit in,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
thumb
Thumb up,
up,
thumb
thumb
down. Yeah.
down. But they had ET sitting on the throne. And I
Love
was
it.
like, we weren't allowed to take pictures. Um uh because it was interesting. Like a lot of the boxes like were labeled with like movies that or the items were tagged for movies that
Hmm.
are gonna be being made. So like I know that this chair is gonna be made and put in this movie kind of thing.
I see.
But they don't want other people to like know that
That
information.
makes sense.
But yeah, I saw E.T. sitting on the gladiator throne, and that was
Whoa.
fucking cool, and it brought me so much joy. And I was like, I wish I could take a picture of
So
this
ET
perfection.
ET2 sequel coming this way, folks. What's this space?
Right. I know.
He's
Watch,
going
I don't know.
he's an emperor now.
I guess.
Okay. Love it. So mine, and it's kind of on theme, is because I wasn't super excited to be coming back home, but
Yeah,
the one reason I was happy to come home is I got to see Sasha.
I was
So
gonna say, how's your
always
dog?
nice to see your dog on return home. Or, pets generally, pets rule always
Did she
bring
miss
me
you?
joy. She did miss me, yeah.
Good.
I think I've told you before, she used to like be upset with me and huff with me, like not be near me for like a week or so, but now she's just like, "You're back, hooray!"
Oh,
So yeah. So it was
good,
great. So yeah.
good.
Pets rule, Sasha
They
rules,
do.
all
She
pets rule.
does. It's
But yeah.
true.
So great. All right. In that case, Beth, could you tell everybody where they can find us?
You can find us at bendypodcast.com.
Hell yeah.
And
All
maybe
right.
I'll throw up some photos of that fucking cool airplane.
Oh yeah, do I should maybe send you some photos too. Actually, I
Yeah,
need to sort that out. But yeah,
it's
that would be
okay.
good.
Yeah.
All right, folks. In that case, as always, we like to remind you to stay bendy.
Bendy.
Ooh, special jet lag edition on my end.
Yeah, man, you did good. I'm
Thanks.
proud of you.
Thanks.
Now are you gonna go to bed?
Yeah, maybe I may go to the movies instead. All
Nutter.
right, bye. We love you.